everyone. Welcome back to episode 107, Talk of Fame podcast with your host, Kylie Montigney. I'm so excited to have on actor, producer, activist, reality television personality, Mike Manning. Thanks so much for coming on, Mike.
Thank you for having me.
And so in June 2020, you and the production team of The Bay won a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Digital Daytime Drama Series. Like, how did you feel about winning an Emmy for the series?
It was incredible. It was so in 2020, The Bay won Best Digital Daytime Drama, and so all the producers got an Emmy, and I was one of the producers. So it was really, it was amazing. I didn't expect it, and it was a wonderful, wonderful feeling for us to win as a team. And then the following year, so last year in 2021, I won an Emmy for Best Supporting Actor, also for The Bay. And that was really special in a different sort of way, just because that was not a whole team. That was just me, and based on my performance in the show. And the show is a show that I'm really proud of. The character is a character I'm really proud of. So it was really nice to be recognized as an actor as well last year in 2021.
And it's like you got to star in the show, right? Not just produce it.
Yeah. So I joined season 5 as a recurring. It was like a recurring guest star on the show, and then that's when we won the Emmy. The producers won the Emmys, and then in season 6, I was a recurring character, and then now in season 7, which is releasing next month
Mhm.
on Peacock and Popstar and Tubi and Amazon. I think those four. So season 7 is releasing, and in season 7, I'm a series regular.
That's amazing. Like you said, like the Bay is releasing new episodes for season 7 next month. Like, what can you tell us more about what we can kind of expect from like your character in this series itself?
Yeah, so a portion of season 7 was shot in Puerto Rico, which was really fun because season 6 ended with my character and another character getting married, and
Mhm.
then there's and it's like a New Year's, like there's Christmas happens in the season, and then New Year's happens in the season, and it's the last episode, and you have these assassins break into the wedding and sort of hold everybody hostage, and then you don't know who what happened, if anybody was shot. We hear gunshots, but we really don't know what happened. So season 7 kicks off with sort of revealing who is still alive and who might not be alive anymore, and
Mhm.
then part of it's shot in Puerto Rico.
Like, have you ever been to Puerto Rico before shooting, or it was your first time?
No, it was my first time to Puerto Rico, and I didn't really know what to expect.
Mhm.
Obviously, before I travel places, I try to do some research. But the cool thing about Puerto Rico is that different parts of Puerto Rico are extremely different from each other. So
Mhm.
in the north, you have it's like a little drier, and it's more of like the city, and then in
Mhm.
the south. So we shot in the north, and we shot in the south, and then that was more jungle. And then if you
Mhm.
go a little bit west, it's even more jungle. And so it's like different parts of Puerto Rico are different. So yeah, it was really cool. And then I've seen some of the footage, and it looks like we're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we kind of were in the middle of nowhere for some of it. So I'm really excited for fans of the show to see season 7.
Yeah, like what was like your favorite like part about like shooting Puerto Rico? Obviously, since it was your first time, but like what was kind of your favorite part? Because obviously, I always wanted to go to Puerto Rico, so I'm kind of curious on what's like your favorite part.
Yeah, well, I love like Latin culture of any
Mhm.
kind, because I know there's a ton of different varieties. But I used to live in Mexico. I lived there for 6 months while I was in school, just to learn Spanish and just to sort of get out of Colorado. And so it was fun for me to practice Spanish. Their Spanish is different than Spanish in Mexico, and the slang is different. So it was fun to sort of try to learn local words and phrases and things. And the people were just really, really nice. The people were really excited to have us. The mayor, I think, was it like the mayor of San Juan, showed up on one of our days of shooting, just to shake our hands and just to see what it was all about.
Mhm.
And then I don't think this is a spoiler because I feel like we posted it on Instagram, but Draco Rosa, who is like a really famous singer-songwriter,
Mhm.
he was also part of the season. So having him in the show, a lot of people were trying to figure out on social media where we were filming and trying to show up on set and see where we were and stuff. So I don't know. It was cool. It was cool.
And so, like, you have starred in many films and shows, such as Days of Our Lives, in which you just returned for an episode. Like, what was it like for you to kind of return to the show, which you had a role in earlier in the show?
Yeah, so being in a soap opera is interesting because, especially Days of Our Lives,
Mhm.
because you can sort of come and go whenever the writers want you to come and go. So
Yeah.
I was on the show on and off for about a year, and I shot a bunch of episodes, and then I died, and then I came back for like some Halloween episodes, and then they killed me again, and then I came back for just for a couple of special episodes, and then I left, and now this time I came back for I think it's been 12 episodes
Mm.
so far that I'm in right now, and it's they're currently airing, so I'm currently on the show right now, and it's been fun. I mean, it's always great when you are on something long term because
Mhm.
you get to know the people that you're working with and you get to know your own character really well, and you can make choices that you don't necessarily get to make if it's just one or two episodes, or if it's
Mhm.
just a movie where it's like you have a certain number of scenes and that's it. Being on a television show long term is fun because you get to sort of explore different aspects of that character and
Mhm.
different aspects of your relationship with other people. And so for this most recent appearance on that show, I play Charlie Dale, and and he started out as sort of a nerd, and then
Mhm.
it was revealed that he was spying on some people for his mom, and that he came from like a bad family, and as the season progressed, he got worse and worse and worse. So my latest appearance on the show, I actually appear as a figment of my mother's imagination.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't know if you ever saw the show Dexter, but sort
Yeah.
of Dexter's father serves as this device. He shows up and he sort of has conversations with Dexter, and he's not really there. Dexter's the only one that can see him, but he serves as Dexter's almost like conscience, and
Mhm.
he helps him do good things. Whereas my character in Days of Our Lives, I serve as like the little devil on the shoulder of my mother, and I sort of talk her into doing bad things.
Oh my God. Like, did you like see the show before you appeared, or it was like you just kind of did it as research and just appeared on the show?
So before I audition for any show, I try to at least become familiar with the characters, and I watch one or two episodes just to because every show is different. Every show has a different
Mhm.
tone, a different writing styles, different shooting styles. So I always try to watch, become familiar with the show. So I did that obviously before I auditioned. It's interesting. So I actually booked the role. I signed my contract March of 2020, like March 10th, and then March 13th or 14th was when everything shut down because of
Yeah.
COVID. So I basically spent all summer not really knowing if I was going to be on the show, if I had a job, if my character was going to stay the same. I had all these things I didn't know, and
Mhm.
they ended up keeping me, but during that time I had extra time to sort of watch the show and become familiar and learn about the world and Salem and some of the characters and
Mhm. Like, did you guys like film in Salem, Massachusetts, or?
Oh no, sorry. So we filmed actually in Burbank, California,
Wow.
but the town in Days of Our Lives is called Salem.
Oh, gotcha. Like I was like when during that time, obviously, like you said, like during the pandemic, you really had to stop and like didn't know if you got the role or not. Like how long did it like kind of take for you to hear back on that role? Like how like did you cause some stress? It's obviously like during the pandemic, the pandemic really stopped us really quick to the point where like we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, I just tried to stay calm and stay distracted, and I know that the pandemic was hard for a lot of people. I
Mhm.
know that a lot, Hollywood was essentially shut down and
Yeah.
nobody was shooting television. So I was trying to be patient, but obviously as the months go by, I get more and more nervous. And so if I signed my contract in March, it was April, May, June, July that I didn't hear anything. And then in August, they called me and they're like, "All right, Mike, we are going to resume filming September 1st. You are in the first episode back. Let's go." And so I had to, which was also nerve wracking because I hadn't acted in 5 months on
Hmm.
any set, and then I have to jump right in and start on day one. Uh, so it was a little hectic, but we got through it.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't imagine like what you had to go through since like it's like obviously day one, and obviously we've been stuck in our houses for who knows how long. Like it's been almost like 3 years since we've been kind of dealing with COVID-19. Like, what was kind
Mhm.
of like the hardest part for you going through that time? Because obviously, for me personally, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get out of the house and do something, live a normal life like everyone else.
Exactly. Yeah. The hardest part for me was not seeing people because
Mhm.
I'm a social person and I love to be around people. I do love my alone time. And I did take advantage of having free time to write more. I wrote a couple scripts. I played, I spent time with my dogs. I spent time, doing things that I had been putting off. And so, I did try to stay distracted in a very positive way.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was tough. It was tough for a lot of people, especially I have friends in New York and, more metropolitan areas that live in high-rise apartments and they were
Mhm.
afraid to leave their apartment. So, I mean, me here in Los Angeles, I have a backyard, I have dogs, I have sunshine. I could, kind of go outside and relieve my stress a little bit by, being distracted and playing, like being outside.
Mhm.
Also in California, we have great hiking trails and we can go
Mhm.
camping and stuff. But a lot of my friends in New York and other places, they didn't have that. And so
Mhm.
we would have like Zoom parties and Zoom hangouts where everybody got on Zoom and we had like a beer and we're like, "Hey, how are you doing?" And we would check in with each other just to try to stay social. And I would see some of my friends literally like not shaving, going crazy because
Yeah.
they hadn't been outside in weeks.
Like that was like the worst thing. Like literally, no one did anything. Like everyone's like lazy. I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to go take advantage of this whole time. And I did personally. I'm like, oh, this is the best thing in the entire world. Just do nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was also I would imagine it was tough for kids in like middle school and high school because
Hmm.
um, those are some of the most important years in terms of being social and having friends and,
Hmm.
growing up and becoming a human being and like learning uh how you fit into your friend group and like it's just in terms of development, it's just so important to be around people. So I couldn't even imagine having I mean, luckily part of that was the summer, so they would have had that off anyway. But
Hmm.
some students that like missed graduation or missed prom or missed homecoming or whatever, I feel really bad for those
Hmm.
people.
Yeah, and so like you have some upcoming films called The Bellkeeper and A Way Out. Like, can you tell us more about your role in those films and what the films are about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the first film is The Bellkeeper, obviously, and that one was really fun. It has Randy Couture. It was directed by my friend Colton Tran, and that's kind of a fun story because Colton and I worked together on Cloud Nine on
Yeah.
on Disney Channel like 8 years ago or 9 years ago, however long that was. And so yeah, so working with Colton, but this time not as an actor. He was, my directing me. That was really fun. Randy Couture could not have been nicer. I had a couple fight scenes with Randy, and I remember during rehearsal on one of the days we had this like fake axe, and we're just rehearsing, and he breaks the axe, and we had three axes, and he broke all three of them, and I'm like thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, like, please don't break me. Like I'm doing my own stunts with Randy, and I'm like, please, like, I was scared. But once we got into the groove and we sort of were doing like the fight sequences, he could not have been nicer. He could not have been more safe and careful. And clearly he didn't kill me. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah, I was gonna
The rest of
ask
the
you
film,
if he eventually killed you or not with the axe. I was kind of
oh yeah,
curious.
no, no. Well, yeah, I didn't want him to break me like he broke our three prop axes. And I actually told him before we started, I said, Randy, please don't make me axe number four. And, he laughed and I tried to break the mood because I was terrified. So that one comes out next year, and I'm really excited about that one. It's like a thriller horror film, and then The Way Out is another film that comes out in February. So 3 months from now, and that one's pretty special because I play a boxer in the movie.
Mhm.
And so I trained for 3 months leading up to the movie. I took boxing classes several times a week just so that the boxing would be more authentic. I gained um, like 13 pounds for the role, 14 pounds for the role, just by eating a lot and working out a lot, just because I thought that the character, would be a bit more muscular than I am. And we actually premiered at the Burbank Film Festival 2 months ago, and we won two awards at the Burbank Film Festival. So really, really excited for the film. Really excited for people to see it, and really excited for them to see me in a role that they necessarily haven't seen me in before.
Mhm.
Just because I play like a really violent, aggressive person.
Mhm. And so, like you said earlier, you started in Cloud Nine. It was on Disney Channel. I grew up that movie. I watched that movie all the time. And you worked alongside Dove Cameron as well. And like, what
Mhm.
was it like working with her and everything?
That entire cast was fantastic, and we all became friends. We shot in Utah, basically at a snowboarding, skiing mountain resort,
Mhm.
so sort of in the middle of nowhere. And so we were all staying in these condos, and we all became fast friends because not only did we travel there early and take a bunch of snowboarding classes because it was a snowboarding movie, and I had Luke and I had grown up snowboarding, so we were pretty good. Kiersey. So it was Luke Benward, Kiersey Clemens, Dove Cameron, and myself were the four leads.
Mhm.
And Dove, I think Dove and Kiersey could board a little bit, but they definitely needed to practice. And then Luke and I were pretty comfortable on boards because we had been doing it for. I've been snowboarding since I was little. I grew up in Colorado, so
Mhm.
I've been snowboarding since I was 12, 13 years old. So I mean, you're acting with people that you like, which I already love acting,
Mhm.
and I'm snowboarding half the time. So it was sort of a magical experience. And Dove was so fantastic. I mean, she carried the movie. It
Mhm.
was her movie, and she did such a great job. She would show up every day, really professional. Luke, same thing. He was great. He's such a talented actor. And then Kiersey has now gone on to do amazing things. I mean, she
Mhm.
was in that movie Flatliners. She was in that movie Dope. She's now in the new Flash movie that's
Oh,
coming out.
really?
Yeah, and I love comic books. So when I heard that Kiersey was doing the Flash movie, I geeked out a little bit, and I told her congratulations because she's just so talented as well. So the fact that everybody's sort of we're all doing our thing and have sort of carved out careers for ourselves is pretty nice to watch.
Mhm. Like, did you like meet like the main kind of cast before you filmed, or it was like you guys met like while filming?
Yeah, so I only met them at the audition, at the final chemistry read, and then we all found out that we were cast in the roles. And then the next time I saw them, we were all hanging out in Utah with our trainers, learning, snowboarding. And then we just jumped right into filming a couple weeks later. So we did get that time before filming to sort of become friends and develop that camaraderie and also to snowboard. Um, yeah, but and then we filmed for whatever it was, 3 months. Um, something like that. Maybe 2 months, maybe less. I don't remember, but it's enough time to become friends. And then we hung out after that when we got back to Los Angeles.
That's amazing. And so, like, since like the holidays are coming up, like, what is something you kind of look forward to doing during the holidays?
I absolutely love the holidays. I love
Mhm.
Thanksgiving. I love having family and friends come around. I love Christmas. I like it because I feel like everybody is just 10% happier. It's just an
Mhm.
excuse for everybody to just be a little bit nicer, a little
Mhm.
bit happier, a little bit more patient. I think that, you know, people finally have free time around the holidays to actually spend with family and friends. So they're not as distracted from their
Mhm.
jobs or from school or from whatever else. And so they're just a little bit more present and a little bit more cheerful and a little bit,
Mhm.
it's nice. It's the holidays are something I definitely look forward to. And this year, my entire family, my mother, my father, my brother, my sister, and all of their families and significant others are all coming to my house in LA, and we're going to spend the holidays together.
That's amazing. Like the holidays is like for me personally, I love Christmas time. Like you said, like Christmas is probably my favorite holiday of all time. Like especially like if people celebrate Christmas, like most families get together and that's really the most like my favorite thing to do is get together with my family. Most of my family lives around here and down here like around me in Pennsylvania, but not everyone can spend time with their families during the holidays. And that's
Mm-hmm.
really the worst thing. But the really most important things that like the holidays make you happy. There's always something good about the holidays, even if you're with your family or not. There's something good about it.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
And so you have worked for the Human Rights Campaign and Energy Action Coalition. Like, what was something about kind of those organizations that kind of stuck out to you about like working with them?
So I worked with the Human Rights Campaign and Energy Action Coalition when I was living in Washington D.C. And I was actually on a show called Real World on
Mhm.
MTV, like the reality show. And it was one of the first times that I had been that public on camera because I had been doing theater since I was little. I did community theater and I did theater in high school when I was like 12, 13 years old. But I never thought, I grew up in sort of a smaller area in Colorado, this like
Mhm.
suburb north of Denver, and it just never dawned on me that I could make a living as an actor. It just never crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So I was actually following like helping my friend with his audition to get him on Real World. I'd never seen the show before. I didn't really watch MTV. I don't think I was allowed to when I was much younger. I was kind of sheltered. So I followed my friend to an audition to help him get on Real World, and they ended up casting me instead. And it was crazy because I went from being like this average person in Colorado to everybody knowing my story and my business and my struggles and my likes and my dislikes and just personal things about me.
Mhm.
I think at that point I didn't realize how big the show was, and it's sort of like that saying, like ignorance is bliss. Like I didn't really know what I was doing, so
Mhm.
I was able to be calm and I was able to be myself and be truthful. And I think because of that, I had a really positive response to my character, myself on the show. And part of my journey on the show was to uh, become involved in politics. And so the Human Rights Campaign sort of promotes LGBT equality,
Mhm.
and so at that point they were working on um, marriage equality and repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and employment, like people not being fired from their jobs for being LGBT and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So I was able to be a part of those things, which was really, really amazing because you sort of feel like you're a part of history when things
Yeah.
like that are happening. And then the Energy Action Coalition was cool because we were promoting like going green going green initiatives,
Mhm.
and we were trying to encourage members of Congress to vote on certain bills that would reduce our country's carbon emissions and help with the issue of global warming and those sorts of things. So also that's something that I care deeply about. So to be a part of those two organizations while on television so that I can encourage other people to be a part of those causes was really special.
That's amazing. Like has like had like has there kind of been like changed in terms of like those two type of things and like not specifically in the United States, but around the world, do you know?
Those issues?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll just talk about the last 10 years. I think, of course, in the United States now, marriage equality has passed. And
Mm,
as of yesterday or the day before, the bill legalizing same-sex marriage and biracial marriage passed in the Senate, which is
mm,
a huge thing because it's
mm,
been allowed, but it's never been written into law. It was
yeah.
passed because of an executive order underneath Barack Obama. So
Mm,
now to have the Senate, both Democrats and Republicans, vote on something like this to make it a law, is a really, it's a sign of hope, and it's a
yeah.
sign that we're moving in the right direction. Even though
Mm,
there are speed bumps along the way, I think we're moving in the right direction, and especially younger people are
mm,
on the right side of history, and they care about the environment, they care about equality, they care about and equality with like gender equality
mm,
and their racial equality and everything else. I think that especially this young generation really gives me hope because it's like
mm.
we will fight and we will keep pushing for people to be treated fairly and equally no matter what. um,
Exactly.
that's in our country. Around
Mm,
the world, I mean, there was a bill, I think, that was proposed in Russia this morning that is going to criminalize people talking positively about being a part of the LGBT community.
mm.
It'll be a crime just to talk about it. So it's like it's crazy that
And,
we are here in 2022 and that is still happening in Russia. Um,
mm,
so there are definitely places, a lot of places around the world that are not as progressive as we are, and
mm.
where members of that community are treated really, really unfairly, sometimes killed. So it's definitely something that we all need to keep, pushing and talking about.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy to kind of think like that's kind of what's happening in Russia. And like, especially since like Russia is one of the most powerful countries, maybe the most powerful. You may never know. It's like one of the most powerful. And to think like Russia is kind of like dealing with that and making it kind of something like that, like is absolutely insane to me.
Yeah, no, it's insane, and it's crazy to think about how you could be the exact same person, and depending on where you're born, you're treated completely differently.
Hmm.
It's really, really sad, and I think it's a good thing that we're all talking about it, and we all
Hmm.
need to just keep holding these countries and these areas accountable, so that hopefully these people are afforded the same freedoms that we all, have fought for.
Yeah, and so like you just recently started a feature role in Slotface, which came out earlier this year. Like, what was the process like filming and working with the cast?
Slapface was one of the movies that I'm the most proud of so far in my career because I found the script through a friend. I worked with the writer, who's also the director, to bring the script to a place that we were really both excited about, and then I helped fundraise for the film. I helped cast the film. I helped shoot the film, and I worked with the other producers and the writer director, Jeremiah Kipp, who's phenomenal, during the editing process and during, when we were pitching it to film festivals, and then when we sold the film, and then when it was released. Like from start to finish, this film was my baby. And the
Mhm.
fact that it's done so well, we premiered at Cinequest, we won the festival, the audience award at the festival. We premiered on Shudder. It was a Shudder original. It did really well on Shudder. Shudder's like the Netflix for horror films.
Mhm.
So and then it's doing really well. It's released around the world on some different markets. And then sorry, my dog's making noise. And then the fact that the film has been received the way it is. I play the older brother of August Maturo, and you might know August Maturo from Girl
Mhm.
Meets World. He's a fantastic actor.
Mhm.
So he was in the film with me. The D'Ambrosio films were in the D'Ambrosio twins were in the film. The Mirabelle Lee was in the film. Libe Barrere was in the film. Dan Hedaya, who plays the dad in Clueless, and he's been in a million other things. He was in
Mhm.
the film, so it's just like this really cool cast. And now the film has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, and people really seem to like it. So we're hopefully in the next year or two gonna shoot a sequel.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
so we might be talking about, yeah, we might be talking about Slapface 2 at some point.
That's amazing. I can't. I hopefully they do it. Fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
And so, like, what is some advice for people that are just starting out as an actor?
The advice that I would give to people starting out as an actor um, would be to just stick with it. And I know that it's cliche, and I know they probably heard that from other people, but that's the truth. The reason that everybody says that is because it's the truth. I have seen really, really talented people give up before they should have, and
Mhm.
I have seen equally talented people stick with it and have their moment, and now they're doing amazing things. I think that when we're younger, we try to fit in and we try to sort of go with the flow. And as we get older, we realize that especially as an actor and in a creative industry, what makes you unique and what makes you different or strange or weird or quirky or whatever adjective you want to use, that is what makes you special, and
Mhm.
that is what will set you apart in this industry. So I would say the two things is stick with it, don't give up, and embrace your weirdness,
Mhm.
because that is what sets you apart, and that's what makes you who you are.
Exactly. And so I just want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was so great speaking with you. Keep up with the good work. And I really like what you're doing. Just keep up with the good work and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Kylie. Have a good one.
You too.